Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to take a journey to a place we've all been, but very few of us really understand, and that's inside our own nervous system. We're going to follow the path of pain, from the first ouch all the way to how our brain actually fights back.
So, let's just start with the big question. We all know what pain feels like, right? But what is it, really? A feeling? A warning sign? Just a bunch of biology at work? Well, the answer is, yeah, it's kind of all of those things. It's this super complex experience, but its journey through our body follows a surprisingly clear path.
You know, every single time you feel pain, whether it's a tiny paper cut or a big, strained muscle, it all kicks off with the exact same thing, a trigger. Some kind of event that could be damaging, and that sets the body's whole alarm system in motion. Then, that physical event gets translated into the one language your entire nervous system speaks, electricity. This is that magic moment where the outside world becomes real, biological information.
And finally, that little electrical signal zips all the way up to your brain. That's where it gets processed, interpreted, and turned into that really complicated sensory and emotional experience that we call pain. So, come on, let's follow that signal.
Okay, so let's start right at the source. Before you can even think, ouch, your body's silent alarm system has to be pulled. This first step isn't about feeling pain yet, not at all. It's about pure and simple detection.
The official, kind of sciencey term for this is nociception. I want you to think of it like this. It's the biological hardware that runs the pain software. It's just the raw data feed, the body's official damage report being sent way before your brain even gets the memo and decides how you should feel about it.
So, who are the security guards on the front lines? Well, they're these specialized nerve endings called nociceptors, and they are everywhere: your skin, your muscles, your organs. And they're always on the lookout for three different kinds of trouble: intense pressure, extreme heat or cold, and certain chemicals, like prostaglandins, which are basically these little chemical flares that injured cells shoot out to say, help.
All right, the alarm has been pulled. That warning message now has to get to headquarters, and fast. So it begins this high-speed race from where you got hurt straight up the superhighway of your spinal cord, headed for the brain.
And this trip happens on two different types of nerve fibers, which act just like two lanes on a highway. You've got the A-delta fibers, that's the express lane. They're insulated, which makes them wicked fast, and they deliver that immediate, sharp, ouch feeling. And then you've got the C fibers. They're the uninsulated scenic route. They're way slower, and they're the ones that carry that dull, throbbing ache that kind of lingers afterward.
Now, this signal doesn't travel on one single unbroken wire. No way. It's more like a neural relay race. The first neuron grabs the signal and runs it to the spinal cord, where it passes the baton. Now the second neuron does something absolutely wild. It immediately crosses over to the opposite side of the spinal cord before it races up to the brain. That one little crossover, that's why an injury on your left foot is actually processed by the right side of your brain. It's incredible. Finally, a third neuron takes that baton for the home stretch.
And the message has arrived. After that lightning-fast trip up the spine, it's reached its destination, brain central. But the journey isn't over. This is where that raw data gets transformed into a rich, complex, and very real experience.
The very first stop for most of these pain signals is a place deep in the brain called the thalamus. The best way to think of it is as the brain's grand central station. It's this major hub that gets all this incoming sensory info, and it's its job to decide where to send it next for more processing.
And this is where pain really becomes more than just the signal. See, the thalamus sends that information to a bunch of different places at the same time. It shoots it over to the somasensory cortex, which basically figures out, okay, where does it hurt and how bad is it? It also sends it to the limbic system, your emotional center, which asks, how do I feel about this? And it sends it to the hypothalamus, which kicks off all those automatic body reactions, like your heart starting to race.
But here is the most incredible part of this entire story. Your brain doesn't just sit there and take these pain signals. It's an active player in this game. It has its own incredibly powerful systems for controlling, shaping, and sometimes even blocking the pain. This is where things get really clever. This whole process is called descending inhibition. So while all those pain signals are traveling up to the brain, your brain is sending its own messages back down the spinal cord. And these descending signals act like a volume knob, literally turning down the intensity of the incoming pain messages, sometimes before you're even fully aware of them.
So how does the brain turn the volume down? Well, it uses its own chemistry. Your body has an amazing in-house pharmacy that makes these powerful, all-natural painkillers called endogenous opioids. You've definitely heard of endorphins, that's the runner's high, but there are others like enkephalins and dynorphins. These things work a lot like drugs like morphine, blocking pain signals right at the source.
And this all connects to something called the gate control theory. You know how when you bang your elbow, your first instinct is to grab it and rub it to make it feel better? Well, this theory explains why that actually works. The signals for regular touch travel on these big, faster nerve fibers that get priority access, like a VIP line at the spinal cord. So by rubbing the spot, you send a flood of touch signals that basically close the gate on those smaller, slower pain signals, stopping them from getting through.
So, we've seen how this incredible system works and how the brain tries to control it. But what happens when that system goes wrong? And how can we, with medicine, step in and help the body get a handle on pain?
In chronic pain, this beautiful, elegant system can break down. The nervous system gets way too sensitive. It gets stuck in the on position, and it starts turning the volume up instead of down. This can lead to two really strange things. One is hyperalgesia, which is when a painful thing feels way worse than it should. The other is allodynia, and this one's even weirder. It's when a totally normal touch, like your bed sheets on your skin, is actually felt as pain.
So when we need to step in with medicine, doctors don't just guess. They often use a really logical, structured approach, like the World Health Organization's analgesic ladder. It's a clear framework. You start with the mildest effective drugs. If that's not enough to handle the pain, you move up to step 2 and add a weak opioid. And only for severe pain do you move to step 3 with strong opioids, always trying to find the lowest possible dose that actually works.
So that leaves us with this final thought. We've seen that our bodies have this incredible, sophisticated, built-in system for controlling their own pain. It's not just a one-way street of suffering. And that raises a really fascinating question for all of us. If this system exists, what are the keys that unlock its full potential? Things like exercise, mindfulness, even the placebo effect, they all hint that we can tap into this amazing internal pharmacy. And figuring that out is the next step in the journey.